She had counted the seconds until the sky stopped screaming. When the last shockwave passed and the ground finally settled into a tired silence, she knew the war had already stepped over her. Her body refused every command she sent it, as if the signals were being forwarded to a previous version of herself that no longer existed. The armor still hummed, loyal and useless, reporting catastrophic damage in a calm, polite tone that suggested this was all very inconvenient but manageable. She almost laughed. Almost. Her long ears lay flat against the dirt, catching nothing now except the faint static of dying machines. She had been trained for pain, for loss, for the mathematics of sacrifice. She had not been trained for being forgotten. Somewhere beyond the smoke, her unit was retreating in perfect formation, because retreat was also an honor when ordered correctly. She tried to curse them and discovered even that required more breath than she could spare. So she waited, because waiting was the last thing still within her authority. A surveillance drone drifted overhead, paused, scanned her, and then rotated in a small, embarrassed circle before powering down. Enemy combatant detected, it announced to no one. Enemy combatant no longer relevant. She decided that if she survived, she would personally hunt down whoever programmed sarcasm into battlefield equipment. Time stretched. Her thoughts wandered to absurd places, like whether long ears made it easier or harder to hear death coming, and whether death minded being kept waiting. She concluded that if death had manners, it would apologize for the delay. Footsteps crunched nearby, human footsteps. She knew the sound from briefings and bitter experience. She did not bother with fear. Fear required energy, and energy was a luxury item. The human appeared at the edge of her vision, arguing loudly with a wrist-mounted device. "No, I'm not looping back," he muttered, "because the loop is on fire. Yes, I see the map. The map doesn't see her." He stopped when he noticed her eyes were open. They regarded each other in silence, two enemies bound by exhaustion and extremely poor timing. "Oh," he said, "you're alive, that complicates things." She would have replied that being alive often did, but her tongue refused to cooperate. Instead, she flicked one ear in what her culture considered a perfectly clear insult. He blinked. "Right, ears, noted, sorry. I didn't mean. Well, I did mean it complicates things, but not you specifically." His scanner chirped. "Paralysis detected," it said cheerfully. "Probability of survival low." "Could you not say that out loud?" The human snapped. Then to her, "Don't listen to it, it's dramatic." He crouched beside her, close enough that she could see the dirt on his face, and the fear he was pretending was annoyance. He hesitated, glancing back toward the battlefield. "I'm not supposed to do this," he said, as if she had asked. "Orders are very clear about not carrying enemy warriors, especially ones with very intimidating ears." She tried to glare again. It worked better this time. "Yeah, okay," he sighed, "fair, still doing it." When he lifted her, pain flared bright and sharp, then dulled into something distant. He grunted under the weight. "No one tells you aliens are built like tanks," he complained. "This is how backs end careers." Turret fire crackled nearby. He swore, adjusted his grip, and started running, talking nonstop as if silence might let reality catch up. "If anyone asks," he said between breaths, "you're a very convincing medical dummy, or a statue, a very angry statue." Despite herself, something loosened in her chest. The war had abandoned her, but apparently it had left behind one deeply inconvenient human. He did not stop running until his lungs staged a formal protest. By then, the battlefield had thinned into a maze of collapsed structures and blinking warning lights that argued quietly with one another about whose fault this was. He ducked into the shadow of a fractured corridor, leaned her carefully against a wall, and bent over with his hands on his knees. "Good news," he panted. "We're not dead. Bad news, I have officially exceeded my recommended daily heroics." His wrist console flickered. "You are now outside mission parameters," it informed him. "Please return to assigned route." He stared at it. "I would, but I'm busy committing treason." He knelt beside her, pulling a compact field scanner from his pack. It hummed, lights crawling over her armor and skin. The results made his mouth tighten, but his voice stayed light. Okay, so, temporary paralysis, neural feedback overload, extremely unpleasant, 0 stars, would not recommend. He glanced at her face. But you're still you, which is good. Being someone else would complicate paperwork. She watched him through the haze, every sound too sharp, every pause too long. Her ears twitched when distant fire echoed, and he noticed. Hey, he said quickly. Those turrets back there, old models, slow thinkers like my uncle, we're fine. The scanner chirped again. Medical assistance required, it said. Nearest compatible facility, 700 meters. 700, he laughed without humor. You couldn't say 699. He slid an arm behind her shoulders, bracing her more securely. We're taking a break, he told the scanner, because my spine has filed a complaint. Time passed oddly. She lost it, found it again, lost it once more. When she became aware again, he was talking because apparently silence offended him. So, he said, you're an alien warrior, I'm guessing elite. Definitely scary, but you let yourself get left behind. That takes guts, or really bad luck. Her lips moved. No sound came out. She tried again. Don't strain, he said immediately. You're already winning by staying conscious. She managed a whisper at last. Why? He blinked. Why what? Why carry? He considered this, scratching his helmet. Honestly, because my commander once told me war is about efficiency, and every time someone says that, something stupid happens. Also, he gestured vaguely. You looked very annoyed, and I figured leaving you there would make the universe worse. That made her huff a sound that might have been laughter. It hurt, but it was worth it. They moved again, slowly this time, weaving through debris while automated systems scanned and failed to agree on whether they were enemies, allies, or an accounting error. At one point, a security drone floated up, lights blinking. Identify yourselves, it demanded. I'm exhausted, the human said. She's injured, we're both having a day. The drone paused. Response not recognized, it said, then drifted away. See, he whispered to her. Advanced technology, no sense of humor. When they reached the buried medical outpost, its doors resisted until he kicked them and apologized immediately afterward. Inside, the lights flickered on, illuminating consoles that spoke in half-human, half-alien logic. Okay, he said, setting her down gently. Let's see if this place likes you more than it likes me. As the systems engaged, she felt something stir in her nerves, faint but undeniable. She looked at him, really looked this time. You defied orders, she said weakly. He shrugged. I do that, not always on purpose. Outside, the war roared on. Inside, machines worked, and a human soldier sat beside an enemy warrior, telling bad jokes to the ceiling while waiting for her fingers to move again. The machines finished arguing first. The medical systems hummed, lights pulsing in a rhythm that suggested reluctant cooperation, and then something deep inside her shifted. It was not dramatic. There was no lightning, no sudden triumph. Just a quiet return, like a door reopening in a house she had assumed was permanently sealed. Her fingers twitched. She stared at them, offended by how ordinary the moment felt. He noticed immediately. Hey, he said, leaning forward. Either you just moved, or I'm hallucinating again. And last time that happened, I tried to salute a vending machine. She concentrated. Pain answered, sharp and insistent, but beneath it was motion, real motion. She lifted one finger. It trembled, then obeyed. Well, he breathed, grinning despite himself. Look at that, you're officially more functional than half my unit. The outpost chimed. Neural pathways stabilizing, it announced. Full mobility projected. Survival probability upgraded from unlikely to annoyingly persistent. She laughed then, a short, broken sound that startled her. Your machines, she said, voice stronger now, are rude. Yeah, he said, they learned it from us. She sat up slowly, testing herself, feeling the weight of survival settle in. The paralysis loosened its grip, retreating like a defeated enemy that refused to admit it had lost. She looked at him, really looked at him, and realized she was seeing him without the lens of war for the first time. "You could have left," she said. "I know," he replied. "I keep hearing that." Outside, the sounds of battle shifted, then faded. Signals cut through the static. Rescue craft, human and alien both, converging now that the front line had moved. The war was reorganizing itself, as wars always did, pretending it was orderly. He stood when the first transmission came through, stiffening as command barked questions. He answered them honestly, which surprised even him. "Yes, sir. I retrieved a wounded combatant. No, sir. I don't regret it. Yes, sir. I'm aware this will be reviewed." He ended the call and exhaled. "So," he said lightly, "there's a chance I'll be court-martialed. On the bright side, I hear the food's consistent." Her ears lifted, fully now. She reached out, steadying herself, and placed a hand on his arm. It was a small gesture. It felt enormous. "In my culture," she said, "honor is measured by obedience. Today I learned another measure." He blinked, clearly unsure what to do with that. "Well," he said after a moment, "in mine, we mostly measure it by how badly things go wrong." The doors opened as rescue teams flooded in, weapons lowered, eyes wary. For a heartbeat, old instincts flared. Then she straightened, standing on her own. The human stepped back, giving her space. That, she realized, was the final gift. Later, much later, when reports were filed and blame diluted into bureaucracy, she found him again. He was sitting on a crate watching ships lift off, looking smaller without the urgency of crisis. "They're offering me a place," she said, "among them to speak, to change how this ends." He smiled, tired and genuine. "Figures. You always did look like trouble." "And you?" she asked. He shrugged. "I think I'll keep